Welcome to my fantasy football podcast, y'all. This is Cozmo. Super excited to have you if you're watching. Man, how about football this weekend, man? I mean, college was crazy, but man, the NFL, this is where the highlights are, man. Just starting off right here with my boys, the Chiefs, man. Gosh darn, taking it on to the Ravens. I mean, look at them. They put the freaking paws on these boys. I was listening to Nick Wright, huge Chiefs fan. He was talking about how there's a tackle that happened right before halftime that Patrick Mahomes just flipped his switch, man, and he really did, man. He looked like prime Patrick here. He really turned it on. 4 touchdowns, 25 for 37, spreading the ball to all the boys. You know we like to see that. Poor Lamar Jackson, man. I don't like to see him getting hurt. It didn't really look like he was necessarily out of the game hurt, but it's also one of those things that you're not going to want to risk your best player in the first, 6, 7 weeks of the season to make sure that they're playing every game. And you don't need that now. Let the guy rest if he really needs to, whether or not it's super serious or not. And to be honest, I'd be very frustrated. And it's not bad that he got pulled at the time he did either. It was kind of a gone game at that time, anyways. Um, we talked about it on the pod, man. He had 42 yards last time we played him. He had or 48 yards last time. Oh, what's that? 42 yards this time. Derrick Henry, see you later next time, buddy. We'll take the ball away from you. How about that? Other than that, I mean, he had one good carry, but that's it. Um, but man, Chiefs, love to see it, man. My boys are up. Maybe cover some good money here. Um, we did all right on the betting, but I'm going to hop in here to my picks for the week. So we have all of our spread picks here. We went 8 for 16. Hey, what we talked about it. We want 50%. We're back at 50%. We're going to take 50% this week. We can move on past 50% after this week. We're getting our footing, okay? But that's actually pretty good, especially picking the spread and not just money lines. This is totally different. But there's obviously some crazy stuff in the NFL that happened this weekend. If you didn't see it all, this is where we're going to check it out. Seattle Cardinals. That was a great one. I love how Seattle really put together, kind of a closeout offense and defense. Cardinals making mistakes, and you really have to capitalize on those. And it looks like the Seahawks did, especially at the end with all those drops. Um, Other than that, man, Vikings, Steelers. I loved the Vikings in this game. I just think the Carson Wentz experience didn't really do it for this week. He's really gonna have to put it on and bring it to the Steelers next time. Aaron Rodgers, the boys, uh, Gainwell, he was carrying it really nicely. He was gaining the ball very well, and they were spreading the ball out across the field well as well. Commanders Falcons. Commanders came back, didn't really put it on the Falcons like I thought they would. I thought this was going to be a blowout. Falcons got blown out by 30 against the Panthers last week and then take on the Washington Commanders, who went to the NFC Championship last year and beat them by a touchdown. Surprise game, we'll take that loss. That one was kind of a blow out of the water there. Hey, Saints, Bills. I said, hey, I don't know if the Bills are going to take 16 and a half points on these guys. They barely took 12 against the Dolphins, and they only took 12 against the Saints. 16 and a half is very hard to cover. I don't care who you are. This is the NFL. Teams are not, but it's a lot of points to cover. That's 3 scores, 2 touchdowns, and at least another field goal to cover all that. Lions, Browns, I knew this would be a good one. Game looked a little closer than the score does, if I'm being honest with you. I feel like the Browns really hung in. Quentin Junkins as a running back is very impressive to me. I love how he runs the football, especially as a young guy in the NFL and against a very good defense that sees very good rushers all the time. I loved how he ran the ball. Joe Flacco, they're obviously struggling at quarterback, but that's what's going to happen when you have a guy who's supposed to be a backup somewhere as your starting quarterback. Shador looks like he's in hell, and quite frankly, he should have just gone to a different team. Lions, great though. They looked like a good team, and they played the Browns, who beat the Packers last week, and they made them look not great, but they took them and they showed who the Browns usually are. Titans and Texans, we knew this would be a beater. And if I'm being honest, I don't know why I picked the Titans here. I think it was because of how big the spread was, and Cam Ward and looked like he was kind of putting the ball out there last week. They looked like they had a little bit of an offense. But the Texans defense, they are phenomenal. I was watching them. We've talked about it. Al Shalir, those and Tototo Matua or Tototo, whatever his name is. Those linebackers are so fun to watch, man. And I just think they took over against the Titans here. Panthers, Patriots. Patriots, man, give it to them. I mean, coming back off a loss with three fumbles and just a lot of gimmicky little plays in a team that beat a team by 30-0 the week before and beating them by almost 30 points. I think the Patriots look very good. Mike Vrabel is obviously going to be a great head coach there. Phenomenal organization that's coming from a Chiefs fan, and I like to see that they're winning games, quite honestly. It's kind of sad that you're like, oh, 8 years ago, these guys were very, very good, and now they're struggling. But they did just beat the Panthers, so I'm not going to give them too much credit yet. Speaking of giving too much credit to teams, Chargers have been getting way too much credit. Had a couple buddies who sent some picks, and they said, yeah, Chargers are getting too much fuzz up here. They should not beat the Giants, especially they got a rookie quarterback coming out here, and the rookie quarterback did his thing, man. I'm not saying Jackson Dart's the next guy, but he went out there and really did his thing. Obviously, it's one of those things you don't get to plan for as a defense, so you don't really get to know this guy's tendencies, and they were maybe more focused on Russell Wilson, who doesn't run the football, and Jackson Dart killed them in the rush. It looked like nobody was even there available to go after him. So I kind of got to give a little bit of hate to Chargers defense too, but I like that as a Chiefs fan. And man, they didn't even win, let alone beat them by a touchdown. Eagles, Bucks. I knew this would be a great one. Game was phenomenal. I love how both of these teams play, and I'm glad that actually AJ Brown is speaking out against Jalen Hurts. Man, I mean, don't get me wrong, Jalen Hurts. He's a great quarterback. He's gonna get you there. He's very athletic. He's fast as shit. But the bad part about him is he struggles when it really matters, and he just has to rely on a tush push. If it's 4th and 5, that's where he's gonna get hurt at. No pun intended there. But Buccaneers, man, they'll be down, 8 points, 3rd and 14, and Baker's gonna get it to first down. And that's the difference between what in my opinion, a good quarterback and a guy who's gonna run the system. Baker was a great quarterback in this game, but obviously the Eagles are a way better team, and they have a great defense too, which complements them offensively. Colts Rams. I'm sad to see Danny Dimes get his first loss, but I thought it'd be a closer game. It was just a one touchdown score, and I knew it'd be a one score game, but I feel like I should have maybe gone for the Rams here. This was a close pick, but the Colts looked really good still. In the Rams, I love them in the NFC. I feel like they got to go after the Eagles and take them out in the playoffs. That's my hopes here. 49ers and Jags. Jags took this one away. They're going to be playing the Chiefs next week, and they looked really good against the 49ers. I don't know if they looked really good or if Brock Purdy and the rest of the gang just wasn't playing up to who they usually are. Jags, very nice game. Trevor Lawrence, great quarterback. And then the defense, couple weeks ago they had like two takeaways or a takeaway and a punt return or a kick return for a touchdown. So defense is really putting the hammer on people. I think the Chiefs game will be great next week, but Chiefs, you got to take the money there. Speaking of taking the money on the Chiefs, Ravens, Chiefs, man, great game again. I love this. John Harbaugh, he's going to have to kind of go do some reassessing of whatever his schematics are for the team because they just did not come with a complete game, and there's a lot of players that are going to have to be filled in, especially if Lamar Jackson's hurt. Raiders, Bears, I'm so glad I covered this. They only won by 1, and that's all you needed. So we're going to call it a good cover there. Bears got that one. Packers, Cowboys, tie game made me hate my life, man. Actually, not my life. It just makes me hate the NFL. It's kind of crazy that, we're playing like soccer rules. There should 1,000% be a way to go out there and maybe kick field goals with no one there. Or, I don't know, coin toss. Or, I don't know, play more football. Easy solutions to get rid of this stupid overtime rule. Jets, Dolphins. I like the Dolphins here. It was a great Monday Night Football. I picked my Monday night slate very well, especially with a 7.5 to cover. But the Bengals, they're just struggling. Gonna have to find something at quarterback. Get the boys the ball. It's not like they don't have wide receivers. Okay, now I'm gonna pop over here to some scores in fantasy league. So here we are. We're 30 on 64 for the year on pick'ems, and then hopping into my first CBS league here. I'm gonna end up being 3-1. I played such a good team. This is my stepfather here, actually, him and his buddy. But I gotta say, I mean, we were both two of the highest scores this week, and I just could not get it done. Bucky and Ibuka really put the team on their back. I love how productive the Tampa Bay offense is. But if I could just have a couple more points in between, this would have been a fantastic week. And I could have taken home a dub on my stepdad. I do have a couple people that I'm going to be trading, or not trading, but picking up on the waivers here. I still am not going to be doing anything about kicker just because I want to see what Tyler Bass does. He's a good kicker, and if he can come back and kick, why take him off? But I do have a Tyler Warren for Brock Bowers drop. I don't necessarily need a tight end for a tight end, but I just like Tyler Warren, and they're going to be playing Vegas next week, and Vegas is not great defensively. Also for running back, Woody Marks for Houston. If you can go get him, man, I just pick him up. He's going to take over for Houston, and they're going to have a great season. I got Bill Krosky. I got to take you off the team, brother. You're not sharing carries enough, but it's not his fault. Hopping over here to our next league right here. I'm going to be 4-0 in this league, which is very exciting. This one has all the defensive players in it. Everyone was putting up some great points. All I have to say is I'm going to have to find some better defensive linemen, but I do have Ed Oliver who might come back and Harrison Phillips that'll slide up. Tyquan Thornton, he's okay here, but I think I'm going to go for either a trade with him and Noah Fant or drop Noah Fant and Tyquan Thornton and pick up a new wide receiver and tight end. There's a bunch of guys out there, but I do have a strong crew up here. Debo put up 20, Cortland Sutton put up 20, Quentin Johnson put up 23, and Puka put up 36. Hey, I draft all right. And then I also got Kyron, who put up some good points too. Other than that, in this league, I love my win here. Just not much money on the line here, so not too excited about it, but great win regardless. Here we are, a good win. This guy was talking a little cheese the other day, so I gave him some cheddar. Kind of put the bands on him just with two of the guys, Puka and Amon, and then Quentin Johnson. Again, great wide receiver pickups here. If you're picking up a great wide receiver early, and you can just get the rest of the running backs late. I think I picked up James Cook in like the third or fourth round, which sounds crazy, but you got to go for those wide receivers, man. Um, Even Garrett Wilson on the bench had 20, and I could even slid Quidshawn up there or Dak and score more points. I love this. And then I also took an L in this league, man. It was so close. If Bo Nix would have just had a couple more points, and I would have made just a couple better decisions down here on the back end, I think we could have done a little better. I think that Zach Ertz, I was relying on him to be a good target for Mariota just because both being veterans. But Brandon Strange and Jacksonville, they really put a number on the boys this past weekend. Defensively, I'm going to have to find someone new just because the Panthers didn't do anything. And I'm going to change out Ollie Gordon because running back wise, he's just not too productive. I mean, Kareem Hunt's been doing better than him, and Kareem Hunt's a number two. There's plenty of number two handcuff guys that I could go out there and get. The guy for the Saints, and yeah, that'd probably be the best one of my pickups right there. Just because Kamara, he has his off days, and someone's bound to pop one. Okay. Other than that, yeah, we're looking at pickups here. So I got Woody Marks for Ja'Cory Bill and Tyler for Brock Bowers. Over here, I was looking at I might need for Fantasy Football Anonymous. We're going to be looking at defensive players here. So we're going to be looking at a defensive tackle. So I'm going to slide here. D tackle. I'm going to go a little bit by average. And I like these 7 guys right here. I like this Jalen Redmore. Got a couple sacks last game. Good for you, brother. Yeah, you might end up on my team here. I'm going to put a little flag next to him. Other than that, Darren Payne looks like good consistency so far this season. And okay, got some D linemen there. Slide up here to maybe get some flex players. I don't need a running back actually, so we'll go just here. We were talking about Brenton Strange as a tight end possibly. He's always looking good right now. If Trevor Lawrence can get him the ball, that'll be very nice. But they're going to be playing the Chiefs this next week, so kind of be wary. They've been playing really good against some offenses. Luke McCaffrey kind of had a great game. And then also Cole Kmet too for Chicago. I was seeing him kind of all around, moving around with the offense, and then just getting out and getting a few passes for himself. Defensively, this week I like Giants would be an okay one. Cardinals would be pretty good. Cowboys could potentially do it. And honestly, I like the Chiefs too. I think the Chiefs might slip in as a great one. Or the Texans. Texans would probably be the number one. Didn't even see them up there. That's a great pick. Coming off of a 26-0 too. And they're going to be playing a hurt Baltimore. I love that. If Lamar Jackson isn't playing, Texans defense all day. Going up here to wide receiver. If you can find Darius Slayton, I would maybe look at picking him up just because last year when Neighbors got hurt too, he became number one, and I believe he can this year as well. Slayton, and we also have Doubs over here too, if nobody's taken him. Man, and that tie game still's really getting to me. I don't know what it is about that. I just feel like there's some way in football you can get around this. So then also at running back, if you can find Quentin Johnson out there, I know I found him in this CBS league right here. And also if you can find Woody Marks, both very nice pickups here. Brees Hall, he's back on his stuff. You could maybe get him. And RJ Harvey looked good for Denver, but he's obviously getting outpaced. J.K. Dobbins taking all his carries. Yeah, man, a lot of good names, but at the same time, they're getting older and they can't really produce. Quarterback wise, Jackson Dart. I wasn't heavy on the guy before I saw him play, so now that I've seen him play, maybe he can get a little stuff out there. I love his running, but I will say I feel like they were playing schematically for Russell Wilson and then had to adapt on the fly, and it wasn't that easy, especially when he is very athletic. Um, Marcus Mariota looked pretty good this weekend, but they just need to win. That's the only important part. And then Tua. People are like, oh, what? Tua? Oh, you want him on your fantasy team? Yeah, I want him on my fantasy team. The guy who had the most offensive production for a couple years in a row. We got to give it to him. And then they had some really cool plays tonight. I know that's kind of Mike McDaniels, but Tua has to execute, and that's a big part of it. Hopping in here to NFL Pro. Just wanted to check on our fantasy stats here. James Cook right here at the top for total fantasy points. Jonathan Taylor slipping right behind. Bijan, Puka, Amon, Christian McCaffrey, Josh Jacobs, Javonte, Travis Etienne, and Roma Dunze. Man, great receivers all around. I love that there's Jahmyr Gibbs and Amon Ra both in the top 15. That's how you know those guys are getting the ball. Man, for my bets this week, I was up $88. That doesn't sound like a lot, but it kind of came back on a grind with the two big upsets. I've lost a bunch of parlays, man. Chargers probably ruined 5 out of 6 parlays, but I had one that hit pretty well, and then a bunch of straight bets on various games where I profited 88 over total all, or 88 overall, and then I also have 500 and about 25 still gambling on other stuff. And honestly, I think that's it, folks. I don't have much else. My teams are sitting okay. I need to come back for a nice win. Anita Max win, big time. And I love what's going on here. I'm coming out, a couple hours after. If you can tell, it is my clock's an hour off, but it is 1:20, and I'm doing this. I love football, and if you love football, man, give me a little feedback. Let me know what you're thinking about these picks and stuff. Let me know what you guys are thinking about NFL theory right now, where you think the league's headed, how you think some of these games went. If you think any of my picks are boldly wrong, man, let me know. I'd love to hear about it. And just shout out everyone for in all my fantasy leagues. I love all the love that you guys have given me. And just like being active in all of our group chats and stuff. Like, I love football season and talking about football. There's a lot of crazy things going on in the world, and I think football is a good distraction for us. Not that it's good to take your mind off of everything that's going bad in the world, but it's good to put yourself in a different mindset and not think about, oh, there's all these bad things going on, because quite frankly, football brings us all together, and it is a competing, it's a hard fought physical game, and it's violent, but at the end of the day, there's respect, and then there's love, and it's just such a cool game. I'm kind of just rambling here, but man, I do love what's going on here. The ability for me to just share my thoughts out in the open. Again, man, such a pleasure. Thank you for watching. And welcome to the pod. Peace.